Hey everybody, welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and on today's episode, we're back to the Turtles. We're taking a look at something new this time from Playmates, so more or less new. Today, we're taking a look at the Ninja Elite series figure of Shredder. Now, this Ninja Elite style here is a more modern take on the TMNT figures as opposed to what we've been seeing in the last few years. And that's been a lot of re-releases of the classic original 4-inch figures. And don't get me wrong, I love those. We're going to take a look at a lot more of those on the channel in the coming days and months. I really enjoy those figures. But it's nice to see Playmates doing something new, or at least more contemporary in terms of the style of figure. Now, I say new because I believe we've actually gotten this Shredder in the past at least once or twice in a few different styles. So this is basically more or less, I believe, a re-release of that figure in just this style packaging. It's been a few years since we've seen it. You can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think this was originally sold in a 2-pack that was a Walmart exclusive. So now we're getting these figures single-packed in Target. And I should add, it's not just Shredder. There's also a Stegron. There's also some movie-style turtles we're going to take a look at here. So a few different ways to get more modern-style figures in this type of figure form. And I say that meaning that this is a 6-inch figure, and that's kind of like the size to be doing these days. And that's perfect for what I collect. Let's talk about this packaging real quick also, because again, this is a single-pack figure. You guys can see here, very few frills, very simple packaging, very minimal box art. It just gives us a huge window into the figure to see everything this comes with, which includes the figure and several accessories that we're going to take a closer look at in a few moments. We get some of that classic cartoon art as well all over the box. And on the back, it just has a, well, not even really a bio about Shredder. It kind of just is like a little description of what the Ninja Turtles are actually all about. Like, there's no actual background information about who Shredder is, what he does, what his motives are. Just kind of lets you know he's the bad guy and the Turtles got to fight him. So that's fine. I do enjoy the rest of the turtle art on this box though, especially in that top right corner. Like, those guys are just having so much fun in that box. You see them? They're just like having a good day. And the packaging also lets us know that this guy here has 34 points of articulation. I look forward to testing that because I want to know what the heck all 34 points are. Like, are they counting the cape as a point of articulation? I don't know. Yeah, this one here, it's definitely got my spider sense, or maybe my Shredder sense tingling. I'm a little curious about this guy, whether or not he's going to actually be worth adding to your collection. So without further ado, let's get this Shredder out of his plastic prison, take a closer look at him from all angles. All right, and here is our Shredder now, our Ninja Elite Shredder out of the package. He's currently in New York City waiting for the subway to come. So here he is. He's pretty cool looking, I gotta admit, out of the box. He is pretty cool. You know, I missed out on this Shredder previously in a lot of his other releases because I just wasn't really that into it, and also because he was just hard to get. That's kind of the thing about these Walmart packs, especially when they did the 2-packs, was they were incredibly difficult to find. But this time around, Target seems to be picking up the slack and making it much easier to find them. So the question now, of course, is this Shredder worth it? And I'm pretty happy with how this guy looks. I mean, from head to toe, it's pretty solid. He looks like he's out of the cartoon. It is maybe not the strongest sculpt. It's a pretty soft sculpt in a lot of ways in terms of the detail and the appearance, but it definitely gets the job done. And you've got all the elements that make Shredder there in this figure all in one easy, convenient place. Can't beat that. Does it have all the articulation that it promised in the packaging? Does it deliver in other ways? Well, we're going to find out right now. So let's spend some time actually talking about this Shredder likeness here. And does this actually look like Shredder? And I think, unfortunately, that might be the first place where it kind of falls short. Hopefully, it's the only place. But yeah, as far as this likeness goes, I mean, yeah, it kind of looks like Shredder. It does. But it's also just so simplistic and, like, not interesting to me and so undetailed. I mean, that's what I mean when I say soft. As far as like the details go in his face, it's just not much going on there. And I get it. He's got a, metal face mask covering his mouth after all, but even still, like the helmet just looks really big on him. It looks kind of awkward. The expression is fine, but the eyes look like they're painted on like so thick and globular. It just, to me, it is Shredder from a distance, but when you get closer, it's like you want more out of this figure. I think that's kind of like the best review I can say for that, is I just want more from it. I was expecting more from it, because they do such a great job with their turtles and their other characters, but this Shredder feels kind of plain in comparison. And likewise, with the outfit too, you can say similar things, because, I mean, he's got a great bunch of abs over here, but not much else really beyond that. I mean, and the outfit is fairly accurate, I'll say also. It's just not as exciting, I guess, as I want it to be, which is weird. Because, I mean, look, it's even got his, pointy Shredder boots. And we even have, the forearm things that Shredder has. I don't know, whatever you want to call him, you can call him that. But he's got his big, pointy, stabby gauntlets. Those parts are cool, actually. I like that a lot. But I guess I kind of just wish there was more going on here, because he just feels kind of plain. And it doesn't help, too, that, Shredder's color scheme is basically this kind of like drab gray color effect, right? So it's like, not even the most interesting thing to look at, just based purely on that, just based on like how he exists. He's a very plain drab kind of guy, I guess. Well, I'll show you the back also, because I think the cape is really cool and very nice. That's, you know, always one of my favorite parts of any of these toys is like the capes. And Shredder, he's got such a flair for the dramatic. So yeah, his cape is awesome. Is it like the best cape ever made in an action figure? Definitely not, but it's still very good. It's still very, very nice, and I'm happy it's there. Do I prefer it to be cloth instead of this plastic? I think in this case, no. I'm actually pretty happy with it being this kind of plastic, being this hard rubber plastic. It works fine for me. I'm happy with that. If you want it to be cloth, of course, that's your personal preference. Now, the big question here is how well articulated is this Shredder? Because they boast a ton of articulation on this. I don't know what they're counting. I get the feeling they're going to be counting like some weird bits for the articulation count, but you know, the head does move left and right. It might be ball jointed, but his cape is like so big, it's actually blocking those joints. So it's really hard to kind of tell. You can see though his chest part does move up and down. It can rotate, so that's, it's actually very good, very nicely moving. The waist does not move, so that's out. The arms are, shoulders are ball jointed. He has a double jointed elbows, so yeah, get ready for karaoke night with Shredder because he's like ready to hold the mic right there. So double jointed elbows is always good. And the wrists move as well, so that's good, that's there. What we are missing is a sort of bicep swivel that you would get with like, let's say, WWE Elite figures and that kind of thing. None of that is present on the Shredder. Now, below the waist, he does have, let's see, well, there is some articulation going on there. It's almost like a throwback to the classic Turtles, actually, with the way his legs are moving. So you can make good old bow-legged Shredder. Yeah, bow-legged Shredder does not really work for me. And yeah, okay, there you go. So he's getting more flexibility as you move him around here. But yes, he does have double-jointed knees. So, well, I guess I got him floating like a yoga pose now. That's kind of fun. He does have some good articulation. There's no thigh cut like you would find in like a wrestling figure. But double-jointed knees are good. The ankles can move in one direction. That's it. They can just point and flex. So he can do a few ninja kicks and jump, but really not having the thigh cut is kind of a little bit disappointing here just because of, you know, these are martial artists after all, but I guess at the end of the day, it's also Shredder, so it's not like he would have been doing the most, you know, crazy, exciting kickflip stunts out there. So articulation's decent, and I do want to point out too on the topic of articulation, his shoulder pads do seem to have some kind of articulation. They're not solid, stuck on him, so you actually can get some okay mobility with the, yeah, there you go, it's actually really good. Good mobility on the shoulders, so that's at least a positive. So, you know, articulation is good. It's not amazing, but it's good. So in addition to what you see here, which is of course the cape and Shredder himself, we also get 4 accessories, which I was excited to see that many with Shredder. I think we'll start in size order with littlest to biggest. And starting first, we have this little tiny dagger, which is very much a throwback to like what Shredder came with in the originals. And this feels like a toy straight out of the originals as well. So it's just this little tiny dagger that he can hold in his hand over here. And I guess we'll try it on right now. And we'll see if it fits, which it should, because his hand is fairly soft. So, yep, you can get the dagger in there with no problems at all. He also comes with whatever the heck this thing is. I don't know what you call this. I don't even know the name of this weapon. But again, this also came with the original Turtles. So why not do it again here? I'm pretty sure the original Shredder toy also had this accessory. And just as easily, it fits. It's like my instinct is to start turning his arm to like an angle to show it to you guys, but I can't because unfortunately, even with the ball joint, it doesn't really have a great range of motion, but there's that little weapon. I don't know what to call it. You guys have a name for it. Let me know what you think that thing is. So besides this little stabby bit, we also have this nice sort of hook sword thing also. Again, don't even know what to call this, but we have this, which is also a throwback to the original figures. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and see if this goes in his hand also, which it should. It's a little loose, and quite honestly, it's a little big. Like, I don't think this should come with him. I think this really should have been stuck only with like the 4-inch figures, not the 6-inch figures, because it just looks wrong. This doesn't look good to me, this weapon. Besides that, it just looks stupid in general. It doesn't work for me, this little weapon here. Everything else is okay, but also unnecessary, feels like. But last but not least, we have really the only weapon that feels like Shredder should come with, besides his actual Shredder claws, and that would be this sword. And the thing about the sword, too, is we've seen this sword in several other releases. I mean, heck, this is actually Leonardo's sword in the current movie figures. This is not a unique item to Shredder, it just is a sword. Yes, that is my thrilling review of that item. It is just a sword, but yeah, really, it's not that interesting, but it's the only weapon that actually really, in my opinion, like fits him and fits his scale and actually looks good with him. So To be completely honest, while it's nice having those additional weapons, they're unnecessary. They're just kind of there for like value purposes. And they absolutely don't seem right. The sword is the one thing that fits and makes sense with Shredder, so stick with that, get rid of the rest. But really, you have his claws. So, I mean, you don't even need them because he looks great just without them. And we should keep in mind, too, as I show you this particular pose here. And as you're watching this, by the way, you notice I was only putting weapons in one hand. That's because his other hand is a closed fist, so you can't even put anything in it. So you can't even, like, dual wield anyway. So, yeah, there you go. Further proof that the weapons are just kind of silly. Now let's do a few figure comparisons as well to see how he stacks up with some other action figures. And, well, since he is a Playmates Turtle... And since he is a Playmates Ninja Turtle character after all, why don't we bring in some of his best buddies? Why don't we bring in some turtles? These are two other figures from the Ninja Elite series that Playmates is doing right now. And these are based on Mikey and Leonardo's appearance in the original movie, the live action movie. So this is essentially the scale. This is how everybody's supposed to be fitting in, and it's this 6-inch scale. And yes, they do have fedoras, by the way. So this is like their fun little 6-inch scale, and they're building a universe around it. But because of likeness rights and who has what rights, you know, I don't think we're ever going to see Playmates doing a movie-style Shredder. So we basically have this cartoon-style Shredder with, well, what's meant to be more realistic turtles. But again, because of the movie rights and likeness issues and all that kind of crazy stuff, they're basically still, at the end of the day, cartoon turtles in trench coats. So yeah, they look fine. This is how they should look. No complaints here. But what about other figures besides the turtles? Well, I'm glad you asked, because of course I happen to have a few other things here. One of them being, since we're in the world of martial arts, a Goku figure. This is a Bandai Goku figure, and surprisingly, he's scaling up pretty well with Shredder also. I actually did not expect that. He looks a little bit shorter, but not by much. And thankfully his hair makes up for his height issues as well. So that's a Bandai Goku. I'm kind of happy to see him actually in scale. And then we also have this WWE Mattel Elite Rob Van Dam figure, and I have him standing up as straight as possible just so you can see the height difference. He is a little bit taller than Shredder. He's close enough, but even the turtles, I mean, like I feel like the turtle figures I just showed you guys are more in scale with RVD than they are with the Shredder. I don't know, you guys let me know your take on that, but he is in scale with other figures, at the very least. But the bigger 6-inch figures, maybe not as much. But it is kind of fun that he can actually scale up with Dragon Ball figures. That kind of opens up some fun posing ideas right there, doesn't it? Sounds like a fun figure photography tournament at some point. So that's how Shredder looks with a few other figures. And overall, my thoughts on this guy is mixed. Mixed thoughts. You know, if you missed out on the Shredder in the past, I guess it's okay to get. I think it's okay, it's fine. It's just not like jumping out to me and screaming to me as like a must-have figure. It is what it is. It looks nice. The accessories are nice. It's fine. It's fine. That's basically I think my review of it. I enjoy that I have it. I would have loved if they'd done some more things with it, but for what it is, it's fine. Especially if you have like the other Playmate Ninja Turtles that are in the cartoon style. I think it's good to have them all uniform and that kind of thing. And yeah, there are other figures in this line too. There's also Stegron, as I mentioned earlier. Stegron looks really great, by the way. I don't have him, unfortunately, here to review at this moment, but I've seen him in the hands of one of my friends who owns him, and Stegron is great. I think the Stegron I'd even rank for sure higher and more of a must-have than this Shredder over here is getting today. So yeah, Shredder is okay. Shredder is just fine. You know, I wish I could be more positive about him, I guess, but you know what? I'm just happy he's now more readily available and more accessible, because that was the big problem with him initially. He just was hard to get, but now you can get him with no problem. So that's my look at Playmate's Ninja Elite Series Shredder figure. You can find him right now at your local Targets, and you know, I'll still say he's worth tracking down, even at full price. I would definitely prefer him at a discounted price, but if you find him at normal price, you know what? Go for it. Why not? It's still pretty cool looking. It's good enough. Are there better Shredders? Yeah, but not in this size, not in this scale, and they're much more money and harder to find. So this figure at the very least is way easier to get, so just do it. So that's our look at Ninja Elite Series Shredder. I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. Until next time, we'll see you guys later. Who wants to make some turtle soup?